What's crack-a-lackin', everybody? My name is Beckett.
My name is Alex.
And my name is Kage.
And welcome back to the Back on Track podcast. Thank you for listening. And, well, that's all. We've got the podcast.
That's the end of the episode, guys.
Yeah. Before we get started, we'd like to thank our sponsor, the Biden Lovers of Montana Club. Thank you very much.
Love those guys.
Yes,
yeah.
I love BLM.
Well, I don't think much happened this week other than the sham impeachment trial. So, you know, all I know is me and Kage are going shooting tomorrow, so we're going to be Americans again.
Other than that, Second Amendment, baby.
I've spent the entire week doing graphic design, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. I've gotten back into basketball, which I know you guys don't like. But
I mean, I like basketball. I like playing basketball.
How do you play basketball?
What? like in general, or like where? Like where? How?
Is it like a field sport?
Alex, this is not. This is just not going well. In other sports-related news, I guess since our last podcast, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah. I don't know why we didn't talk about that.
Well, how about Alex? How about you tell us about the Super Bowl?
Yeah. What do you think happened?
Well,
give us some stats.
I think an old grandpa beat a very fit spring chicken. And I think the spring chicken being Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I know the names. I think he got cocky. And he was like, man, I can do this. This guy's kind of old. And then he was like, oh my gosh, I just got wrecked. That was my take.
Besides his concussion and
also the commercials were trash. They sucked.
I really liked the Mountain Dew one.
I didn't like any of them.
Did you win the $1 million? If you guessed all the Mountain Dews in the commercial, you got $1 million.
I'm a millionaire.
Look at us.
Look at us go.
Okay, we need to move on. So we have another. We're doing this like 3 segments again. I think it worked pretty well last episode. We got a lot of good information in. So with that said, would you like to take us to our next segment?
I will. Our first segment on gun control. So our guns are a very important piece in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's in the Second Amendment that we have our right to guns, and I'm starting to think a lot of people don't really like the Constitution that we have. I know you had...
Fair point.
You said a lot of people... You said like, what, 1 in 4?
That was a joke. I made that up.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah. It's not...
It
probably, I probably
though.
should fact check that with you. Not 1 in 4. Don't sue us. It's not, actually. An amendment is a change to the Constitution. The Bill of Rights was mainly additive and clarification. But our Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. And before we get into a debate about like gun violence and all that, let's answer like the most important question. Why do we have the right to bear arms? And I wanted to kind of like open that up for discussion.
So I know this as a fact. It wasn't like for fun. It wasn't to defend against like people coming into your house. Right. It was to defend against the government, actually. Yeah. And I think most people don't actually know that. It was so that when the government gets like overreaching government.
Yeah.
Like, that's
when they're trying to take away the rights
Right.
of the
Yeah,
people.
and you have a means to like protect yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's actually pretty funny to think that some people want to enforce socialism, and I read communism because, you know, if you don't know why I said that, go ahead and check out our last video, episode 4.
Episode 4.
Quick plug.
Commies everywhere.
Anyways, those are the same people that want guns out.
Yeah.
The same people who want to take away your rights are the people who want guns out. They're
Oddly enough, they're also the people that want to get rid of police, so you have no way to protect yourself.
right. They're just trying to eliminate all of the fail safes to government so that they can essentially make a dictatorship for themselves, and all they need is the people to vote on it. And there are dumb people that are gonna vote for it. Anyways, but it is also the right to defend yourself, like from government, but also now we definitely need self-defense because early days of America, we weren't as populated, and you know there was less chance of evil people,
crime, riots, peaceful protests that are actually riots,
people running around in the streets, you know.
Yeah. So there's evil people with evil intentions, and if they're looking at you and thinking they can get the best of you, like with examples like theft, rape, or murder, they're most likely, if they're looking at you, right, and they're like, I could probably steal from that person. They're probably confident enough in themselves that they're probably larger than you. They have more strength than you. They're probably able to overpower you. And if not, then they're probably in the wrong profession. To be honest.
By disarming people, you disarm the people that need it the most.
Right.
So like a lot of women who want to feel comfortable and not, feel safe, they conceal carry so that they can defend themselves. But if you take away their right to do that, then they can be overpowered by anyone bigger than them, which is, I think, wrong.
Yeah, then the crime just skyrockets for it.
Yeah.
And so we just presented the two main reasons for us why we keep guns. Really, I'd say the only two, and then there are why we need guns. But there are two main arguments when I was researching that I found. And obviously there are more. If you want us to cover more, you can leave a comment on what you'd like us to refute and do our research on. But the first argument that I want to bring up is violent acts such as school shootings are all the cause of purely firearms. I think this is not true because violent acts usually in school shootings, they are caused by guns. That's why it's called shooting.
Well, no. Clarify that. They're not caused by guns.
Right, sorry.
That's like saying cheating is caused by pencils or, obesity is caused by a spoon.
Yeah, the school shootings have people armed with guns shooting people, but we can't forget that there's, again, an evil person with their finger on the trigger. People will always try and hurt other people. I know we said it in our last podcast, but that's still true.
Yeah.
Julius Caesar wasn't killed by a gun. And if you want a better example of someone who wasn't
the time traveler went back and killed him with a gun.
If you want a better example, Cain killed Abel without a gun. We don't know exactly how, but I'm pretty confident
that was the first one, actually.
Yeah, that was actually the first gun murder.
Jesus was not killed by a gun.
Yeah.
He was killed by crucifixion, which very polar opposites there.
And to bring up the point of more people are saved by guns. If we didn't have cops armed at schools,
you probably have more school shootings.
You probably have a lot more school shootings.
And you would have probably more casualties at the school shootings.
Right. Or remember, was it like a year ago, the church in Texas where...
Yeah.
It was like the 70-year-old guy who concealed carried, and he shot the shooter in the head and saved everyone in the church.
I remember I saw that video. That was crazy.
And nobody talked about him, which was crazy.
Yeah.
No, of course CNN didn't. They weren't going to be like, oh, look, guns saved us.
Good guy with gun stops bad guy with gun.
Yeah, that's not a headline compared to Trump.
Or compared to all guns are bad, because as people know, they can be used for good. But like we just said, guns can be used for good. And that's what they were designed. They're not designed to hurt people. And that's what I think people forget. The inventor of guns was most likely for war and strategic advantage.
Right.
But now we have the right to bear arms, which was written after the Revolutionary War. So lots of people were shot in this war. And then they added that the people could own guns.
Right. I don't think the founders had bad intentions in mind when they wrote that, because remember, George Washington was the top general in the the U.S. Army when it wasn't the U.S. then, but you know what I'm trying to get at. I don't think they would have written that into law unless they felt it was absolutely necessary, even though they saw war.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so high up there on the list too. Like it was very, very important.
Yeah. And I know people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, "Oh, you know, but if you took away guns, there's going to be less gun deaths." And well, yes, of course.
Actually, I would think I don't think there would be.
Sorry, eliminating guns like completely. Like no one has guns anymore, which isn't really possible.
Well, how can you regulate that?
Because illegal guns will never be stopped by gun laws.
Right.
Criminals who want guns just get guns.
People who shoot people aren't doing so under the law, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need a stat check to prove that.
Yeah.
But if a criminal sees you pulling your wallet from your pocket and knows there's zero chance of you being able to defend yourself besides from your own strength, if they realize that by looking at you, I can be like, oh, you know, I most likely have more strength than you. I'm going to go up and mug you.
Right, and you can't defend yourself.
Right. There's nothing. And especially if they have a firearm, right? There's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm. And they probably do have a firearm.
If they have a criminal background, they didn't get that legally. So there's...
Yeah, you're just helpless in the situation.
Yeah. So the second argument that I come across is guns kill people in homes accidentally. And I know this isn't like a big one, but I did want to come across this because I've heard a lot of people talk about it. So
yeah,
guns killing people in homes by accident is more of a rare thing, but it's a slightly better argument than the last one, but at the same time, not really. Because I mean, you just need common sense. The most common deaths in a household due to a firearm.
Common sense, not common sense gun laws.
Right.
Gun laws are bad.
Yeah. Did I say gun laws?
No. That was just that was my little addition to that.
So the most common deaths in a household due to a firearm would be that of a child or a mentally unstable person. With the mentally ill, you must make sure to keep your firearms locked up and keep it in a safe place. I mean, that's just obviously.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you? And the same thing goes for a child. You need to keep it locked up and teach children at a young age to respect firearms and teach them proper safety.
Right. Yeah. Firearm accidents, I would argue that they happen at a much lower rate when the people in your household know how to operate a gun. They know how to be safe with a gun and how to just overall, like, generally just manage the guns in their house.
There's less accidents if you teach people how to use things.
Yeah.
If you teach them proper safety, there's going to be less accidents. We just need to use common sense. We can't expect to lay things out. And eventually, some child, if you lay your gun on the counter, some child is going to find it one day. And if they have no idea what it is, how to use it, or they're it's not locked up. Yeah, there's going to be an accident. Whether it harms the child or not, it's never a good thing.
Yeah, just by the curiosity of the kid, it's like they don't even know any better unless you teach them.
And my last point is, if those last points weren't enough, it's in the Constitution. That's all. That's all we need, really. It's in the Constitution. We can't keep rewriting this document. I mean, we can make amendments, but we can't rip out the core foundation of what our country is based on.
If you take out number 2, that means everything shifts up by a number.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's not.
Now the Third Amendment is the Second Amendment and the Fourth is the Third. That's just dumb in itself. Sorry, that was a weird addition.
Yeah. But, I mean, if we take out what our country was based on, we're going to have a different country.
Yeah, we're already starting to see a different country.
Right. Our government, still to this day, is with checks and balances based on the Constitution.
Yeah.
Our electoral college system, which I'm not debating right now, is based on the Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't fight for our freedoms and fight for stuff like the Second Amendment, we're going to lose it.
Yeah. And guns make sure we have that fighting chance.
Right.
Be careful saying fight, though. You might cause some hate speech.
I am not inciting violence. Please be peaceful. Please be peaceful. Go home.
But fight like heck.
I love you.
Anyways, and the last point I have is guns make sure government can't take away our God-given rights.
Guns make sure our government can't take our guns.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We've talked about it before. All the Constitution does, the only thing laws do, besides keeping people in order, but our Constitution and the Bill of Rights secures our God-given rights. They don't make those rights for us. It's not our country's the best because we realize that we can't take God-given rights away from people.
Yeah.
And that was really what I had on that segment.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much. I was very informative there. Well, I'm going to take it into my segment, and I chose a topic.
This is a fun one,
We
guys.
had a lot of questions about this topic.
Yeah, specifically like tons of like
emails
and stuff like that
on
yeah.
Instagram. Yeah. Climate change. And the main, it's going to be a couple different parts here, but I want to start out with the Paris Climate Agreement, because this is the specific thing that we actually got asked about, not climate change. It was specifically this. And it was more of a question of like, because remember, President Biden just put us back into it. I want to say in the next couple of days or weeks, we're going to actually be in it now.
Yeah.
And I have not really known what it was all about.
Yeah.
All I heard was it was bad for business, which after doing my research, I found it was pretty bad for business.
And he seems to be pretty fond of making those decisions that are bad for business.
Joe Biden is bad for business. Biden bad for business.
Biden bad.
That's a
for
great
business.
Building
alliteration.
back business bad. Something
Okay,
like that.
yeah, something like that. I think
gosh.
I think
What
you're
have I
along
done?
the lines of like what it is.
Yeah. But so I'm reading this right now. The Paris Climate Agreement is a UN agreement, so United Nations, that focuses on, quote, climate change mitigation, adaptation, and finance, end quote. It's really a set of rules. On paper, it's actually more like suggestions that everyone breaks. So, but it doesn't actually help, regardless of what a lot of people have been saying. This is a quote I took this from Prager University, and it was saying, if we generously assume that the promised carbon cuts for 2030 are not only met, which itself would be a UN first. So I'm going to pause and go back to that. Basically, it's intended to cut carbon emissions from 195 countries, which are in the agreement, by 2100. So in about 80 years, 79 now. Mm-hmm. And currently, almost none of these requirements are being met by any of the countries in the agreement. But what this quote is saying is that if everyone were to go and meet the carbon cuts, by 2100, the temperature would only drop by 0.3 degrees, which is the equivalent of postponing global warming by less than 4 years. So it's kind of...
So we're taking 79 years to reduce 4 years.
Well, the worst part is that it's going to cost $1 to $2 trillion per year. So by 2100, it could be $100 to $200 trillion of cost to the United States for 0.3 degrees. That's nothing.
That is crazy.
You can't even feel 0.3 degrees.
Yeah, I can't feel it.
You probably couldn't feel 1 degree.
But think about the animals. The poor animal. The turtles. Think about the turtles, man.
It's just an expensive agreement that nobody follows, that costs us money and jobs, and it hurts our economy in order to drop by 0.3 degrees. And I think that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into this a little more, but if it only saves 4 years of warming, it's like, what's the point of the next 79 years?
Yeah. I also believe that our planet was made with ways to, make it
I think
carbon waste and things like that. It filters that out.
Right.
Like, that's what trees do.
Climate change, people say climate change isn't real. Climate change is real, but it's a natural thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Remember,
it happens.
There was an ice age, a couple of them, and then it warms back up, and it's just a cycle. So yeah, climate change is real, but it's not to the extent that it's made out to be.
And everyone uses like these charts. They're supposed to freak you out when it's like percents of degrees.
There was another study, this one by MIT, and they found that if all 195 countries abided by the agreement, it would have only reduced global warming by 0.16 degrees by 2100. So there's a few differing numbers, but they're all pretty pathetic numbers.
So they get worse. The numbers are getting worse.
That's degrees Celsius. So.
Degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
So that's
just
yeah.
But it's a little bit different, not a ton.
But that was under ideal conditions. We are far from that because there are countries that are not meeting the requirements at all. France, China, and India. They all not even close. In this actually happened just this week. France was found of breaking their agreement and not being good enough for the environment. So they're like fining France, I want to say, or something like that. It's crazy.
And if China and India are the biggest 1 and 4 and the biggest carbon emission
in the
world. I mean,
world.
they have also the most population,
Right.
1 and 2.
Well, that, and they're saying that they're going to have more carbon emissions in 2030 than they have today.
Bring it on.
So they're part of the agreement. We pay money to be in the agreement, but the other countries don't follow the agreement. Where's the logic behind it?
And that just like negates what we would be trying to save, which is maybe 4 years.
Right. And the problem is we don't even need the agreement to be better with the environment. We've been trending down since 2005 in carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. Just 1 year after President Trump announced that the U.S. was going to remove itself from the accord, it was estimated that the greenhouse gas emissions fell by 10.3%.
Yeah.
Jeez.
In 1 year.
It's amazing. It's amazing that temperatures are fluctuating like normal.
It's also amazing that somehow we did better without the agreement than we did with it. I mean, I
just feel like the people who like make big deals out of this like just don't look at like 100 years ago and the temperatures that were recorded. And
actually, I think they look at how much money they can make from it, and they don't care what the agreement says.
That too.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but the people who are dead set, like not even in politics at all, just like tree huggers, you know. I like trees. Don't like tree huggers.
There was something else that I'm going to get into about the tree huggers, but because the 10.3% drop happened in 2020, a lot of people are saying it was because of the pandemic and because of the shutdowns and the lockdowns and stuff like that, and they're saying it was an outlier, but actually, the data shows that the consistent drop in emissions for the past decade and a half, it kind of fell along those lines. So it wasn't just the pandemic. We've been better over, we've
been better over time.
Almost 2 decades now. The only thing is, now our lead scientists are a 31-year-old bartender and a high school dropout. Can you name them?
Let me guess.
Well, Greta Thunberg's one of them.
And is it AOC? Could it?
Ding 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 ding.
Oh, dude, how much money did I win?
0. You actually have to give money because this is socialism now.
Well, that's true. My bad.
Yeah. But AOC says we only have 12 years left until the end of the world because of climate change.
I didn't realize AOC was God. That's cool.
Yeah. But what are the experts saying? She is by no means an expert. She is very far from an expert. I'd like to think that I know a little bit more about the climate than AOC does.
I know.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that much
I almost
to
feel
know
bad
more.
for her. I feel like she really is mentally unstable.
I think the Democratic Party doesn't even like her. They're just like, no, take her. We don't want her. She's
just
too crazy.
They're just like, it's almost like a mother shushing a child, the Democratic Party to AOC. They're like, no, stop saying that.
Shut up. Don't stop. That's so stupid.
You can't say what we're thinking.
That's disrespectful. We don't say that to other children.
Yeah. And I'm gonna butcher this name, but I want to say it's Bjorn Lomborg, and he was the former director of the Danish government's Environmental Assessment Institute. So
it's a mouthful.
Yes, but with that title, I'm assuming he knows something about the climate if he was in charge of, And he was saying that while the argument is that Arctic ice levels are decreasing, that is true, but they're increasing in Antarctica at almost the same rate. So, it's the cycle. One part of the Earth gets warmer while the other part gets colder. So it's kind of just information being manipulated to strike fear.
Yeah,
right?
It's really shows you like what side the media is taking. Like, do they want to show you the good stuff that's happening, or do they want to scare you into submission?
Well, They won't make any money if everything's going perfectly okay.
Yeah, that's another thing. They're saying is there's a few different groups of scientists. There's scientists who look at the actual facts, and then there's the scientists at CNN and all the major news organizations and AOC and Greta Thunberg that they just use the climate alarmism as a way to make money because doomsday scenarios sell. It's a good business.
I mean, I'm really disappointed to hear I'm not gonna live past 30. But
oh man, it's better sign off now.
well, I mean, we might as well just do whatever we want, right? If we only got 12 years, I don't even know why she's in government, because government's role is to be supportive of the people and in the long term. So I don't know why she's in government if she thinks we only have 12 years.
It's okay, we can save 4 years within the next 79.
That's yeah. Oh, guys, we only have like 3 more elections.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's
the
crazy.
end of the world is near, man.
And if Biden wins one more time, you guys are never going to get anybody you want.
If Biden wins another time, we're only actually going to have one election because he's just going to be king.
One more election. So I guess we might only have one more election anyways.
Yeah.
He won't even know he's king, though.
He'll forget on the way.
But that the Bjorn Longborg guy, I definitely am not saying his name right. He was also saying that the sea levels are rising, which is true, but they're not accelerating. There were 2 research papers that I found in the video and by climate scientists, and they're decreasing. So, yes, they're rising, but they're actually going slower and slower, and at some point they could flip around and start to recede.
Yeah.
So
high tide, low tide, believe it or not.
Wow.
That's
that
actually
was man, you kind of just debunked that whole theory right
Dude,
there.
that's very true. Happens like every 6 hours.
I know. I went to the beach the other day and it was different from the last time I went. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna
Climate change.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think we only got like 6 years left before the Earth is flooded.
The timetable's moving. And the next argument is, hurricane damages, right?
Oh.
Because hurricanes have been happening more often.
AOC doesn't even know about this. We're losing years by the second.
Yes, yeah. But if you look at per capita hurricane damage costs, they've decreased over the past century. So, what? Less hurricane damage.
Because we have better technology and people who know more about the weather than we did years ago.
Right.
It's amazing. People get smarter, we get better defense, and we can prepare better.
Yeah,
Man, it's almost like we're gaining years, but that's not possible.
Nope, 12 years. But just like the hurricane damage costs, major typhoon frequency in the Western Pacific, so like Philippines, they've had a lot of typhoons there, it's decreased over time since 1950. So on the decrease for the past 70 years. I mean, science, where you at? Yeah. I think it's just crazy that they're going to try and make us fearful of all this stuff, when in reality, if you look at the hard data, it's not the case.
And if you look back at trends, people have been saying that global warming is going to affect our world for the past 50 years. You know, and nothing has happened. Nothing's changed.
A lot of people have gotten a fever this year.
That's so true.
I mean,
yeah,
could be. I don't want to blame coronavirus, but
apparently the flu is gone now.
Actually coronavirus.
I have a theory that they just renamed the flu.
Yeah.
So that's why the flu is gone.
I'll never get over in September of 2020 when the guy died from a motorcycle accident and it got labeled as COVID, because the guy had been exposed to COVID and then was on his motorcycle and suffered a crash in which I believe he broke his neck. Not a funny matter.
How about the other people who were shot in the head and also classified as corona deaths?
Well, the bullets had COVID on them.
Oh, got it. Infected.
They were
it's like lead poisoning, but with coronavirus.
Laced bullets with COVID.
Yeah, but when you look at the typhoon frequencies, the hurricane damage costs, and then drought levels, they're saying drought levels have increased. But there was a Washington Post article that was highlighting a study from 2012 showing that global drought levels have remained unchanged for the past 60 years.
But that's not possible.
No. Well, the Washington Post said it, and they are the ministry of truth. So,
very true.
So it's going to get worse in the next 12 years then, because otherwise we're not going to hit the end of the world. We have to
speed up.
We have to hurry up.
That's our goal. We're trying to get there.
Those are rookie numbers. Got to pump those numbers.
Let's get to the end of the world by 2032, guys. Or 2033, I guess. Yeah.
That's right. Math is hard. It's okay.
When did she say?
No, it was last year. So we have 11 years.
Yes.
Never mind. My math is hard.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
The IPCC, this is a global organization focused on climate change, they stated in a report that the long-term prediction of future climate states is not possible. So AOC saying that there's only 12, now 11 years left is you can't do that because you can't predict like that.
Yeah, and because who believes... she's lost credibility for me, early stage Dawn. When is the rest of America going to realize that she has no idea what she's talking about?
Her and Greta Thunberg.
Where did
the
she
12-year-old
get
from Iceland or wherever she's
Well,
from?
she's 18 now.
No.
So,
What?
yeah.
Man,
No.
she looks like she's 12.
No smart person would generally say, like a scientist would not. Who'd she get this statistic from?
She made them up.
She was just like, what can I do today? She woke up. What can I do
The world's
today?
going to end in 12 years. That's
That's-
what
that's-
yes,
that's
that's
the
what I was
headline.
thinking.
That's what the
Also,
headline.
I
AOC
thought I was
says.
going to die because Ted Cruz tried to kill me.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz built the noose outside of the Capitol,
Yeah.
and he had it made for me.
And she wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, ever
so
looked at
how
a
am I gonna
map,
how am I gonna
AOC?
pin this? What if I just say I was there?
That'll work. That'll work.
That'll
We'll back
work.
you up as the
They'll-
media. We got you.
But they won't know. They'll never know. There weren't actual people there, so we won't know.
Breaking news, AOC releases a video about how she was in the Capitol building.
Bang, 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 bang.
I heard them outside and I was really scared.
She's actually a worse actor somehow than she is like
A politician.
I don't know how. Than she is a politician, and her intelligence level somehow her acting is worse. I don't know how, but
Also, you know what else is terrible? The Green New Deal, which was her proposal. Man, that thing sucks.
yeah.
The whole goal of it is to push the government to remove fossil fuels from the energy industry and only put renewable sources in their place. But those sources are solar and wind, which they're unreliable.
Man, say you back this, right? I don't have the exact statistic, but under President Trump, we have reduced our carbon emission like big numbers. I don't know the exact statistics, so I don't want to.
In 1 year, it was 10.3%. That was in 1 year. The 2 years before that, I want to say they were also on the downward trend.
Okay. Yeah.
But, you know, when I say the wind and... sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought here.
Wind and solar?
Wind and solar, when I say they're unreliable, it's because the sun doesn't always shine and the wind isn't always blowing. So they can't be consistent, you know, forms of energy. And currently, only 3.4% of the world's energy comes from solar and wind. Yeah. The rest of it, about 80%, comes from fossil fuels. So how you're going to get that 80%? We've spent billions of dollars on government subsidies and stuff like that just to get this 3.4%. How are we going to get to 80%?
And
Trillions of dollars.
what about electric cars? Like, how is say the only solution for electric cars is having the government pay for electric cars, because the average American family cannot afford an electric car.
Right. And well, so this whole, you know, Green New Deal, 11 years left thing proposed by AOC, it's just a kind of repeat of the same patterns that have been happening for decades. In 1989, the UN predicted that entire countries would be wiped out by 2000 if global warming was left unchecked. What year is it? It's 2021. What happened? So, like, did I miss something?
I mean,
I think it's like the Mayan calendar was just wrong, and
So
they had to
the
push it back a
countries-
couple yews.
the countries that they predicted show up to the UN meetings. They're like, I thought you'd be gone by now.
Well, how are you still here?
I feel like North Korea will say that of a country every single meeting. They'll just be like, how are you still here?
Yeah. Well, so I think that solar and wind are really they're inefficient and expensive. Mm-hmm. So what's the other solution? Nuclear, right? Mm-hmm. Nuclear is safe, effective, cheap compared to everything else. So why don't all these climate activists actually like it? They argue that it's unsafe, but Fox News and the World Nuclear Association have all determined that it's actually safe. The only instances where it's not safe are places in countries that can't handle it, like Chernobyl. That's not a country, but that was the place. Yeah. Remember, that was one of the only instances of nuclear issues happening.
Mm-hmm. It really just scares people because nuclear bombs. That's what they associate nuclear with, not with the energy.
Did you just say nuclear?
Yes.
And
oh boy.
Okay, Kage.
Nuclear.
Back on like solar and wind power, I'm personally against wind power because it's actually more expensive to build a windmill than it is saving money on electricity. But
I'm against both of those.
But solar, and while the sun isn't always shining because we have night, but that's 12 hours out of the day, and most solar panels have it keeps charge. And while solar panels are also expensive, right? They keep charge in the battery. But I'm personally for that in some ways. Like at airports, they use lots of solar panels. Like you can see when flying in, there's solar panels laid out everywhere.
Right. Well, but the thing is, one of my main issues with solar is that the main producer of solar panels is China.
Wow.
So I think that by inflating the whole solar panel business, it's kind of a way to just hand money to China.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud here.
I understand that, even though a lot of stuff we have will be made by China for a while.
Yeah.
Because
And, I'm just going to wrap it up here. The whole Green New Deal, you want to know why it's the main reason why it's bad? The biggest reason of all, the cost.
Yeah.
It's going to cost, they estimated, between $51 and $93 trillion over the next decade. You want to know the average cost per household? $600,000. If households cannot afford a $60,000, $70,000 electric car, how are they going to afford the $600,000 cost increase in their energy?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And stuff like that.
That's even being like, yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, Alex. That whole segment just.
Oh, I want to add my story on the end of that. So my family and I went to Universal a while
you were
back.
telling me about this.
and this is on topic, guys. I promise. Don't skip it. They have completely outdone or gotten rid of.
Right.
I was looking for a fancier way to say gotten rid of, but I couldn't.
Exterminate.
I need to go back to like a vocabulary class or something. Anyways, they have gotten rid of plastic straws completely, which a lot of restaurants in this area have done that.
Yeah, they made all of Martin County do it. Yeah. So, places like that, the entire county has to do it.
Wow. It's not great, especially if you've ever like kept a drink for more than like 20 minutes and then realized you're drinking your straw.
or wanted to drink a milkshake. Like,
Anyways,
this doesn't work.
We were at Universal. They banned plastic straws. And they also, if you have a souvenir cup there, they let you pay $10 for the day. You can get unlimited refills, whatever. Whatever.
It's a steal.
Anyways, we did that, and I went to get a refill. And I asked them to fill up my souvenir cup, and they said, "Oh, we're actually not doing that." And they give you this big plastic cup.
Huh.
And I was really confused. I was like, "Can I get a plastic straw?" And he looked at me confused, and he was like, "Oh, you didn't hear about our policy. We're not doing plastic straws anymore." And I was
Nice.
like, "Oh, so what's this cup for?" He's like, "Oh, because of coronavirus." And I said, "Oh, okay. I didn't realize that plastic cups are safer and healthier for the environment than plastic straws."
Do you know how many plastic straws you could make out of a plastic cup?
I mean, probably like at least 10. Like it's especially they
Good
were
estimate.
big cups.
Oh, okay. So
They were-
it was
yeah.
probably 10.
So maybe 12.
Yeah, maybe 12. Anyways, that was my story. I thought it was funny. It made me laugh.
Nice.
I didn't tell the Universal employees because I want them to. You can go for yourself, and it's a real thing.
Man,
Yeah.
Universal.
Well, going into my segment, after talking about like all this, well, what's the future of the Republican Party as conservatives? Because we've had a lot of bad news lately. It's been a lot of losses. It seems very demoralizing to be a conservative, especially with censorship and various other things. First off, the big loss was the presidency. Trump, quote unquote, lost. Yeah, and then after that, we lost the Georgia runoffs because people were just so demoralized by the presidency that they really didn't feel like going out and voting again. Right. Even though so many people campaigned there and urged them to vote, we didn't show up. They didn't show up, and we lost that one.
I think it was also a lack of motivation from the Republican Party.
I think there was fraud there too.
Well, I agree. Based on what we saw, the same things were happening. You could like watch on the news, and you would see the vote counter go up, and then it would go back down for the Republican candidates. So that's a little fishy, but
yeah, it was more like we got really complacent in being like, oh, Trump can definitely beat this guy that can't even make a sentence.
Yeah,
and then people didn't show up. COVID also was kind of an issue for people, I guess.
No,
but
it was because of the mail-in ballots.
Yeah, because of the mail-in ballots, but I'd say mostly Democrats put in mail-in ballots. But yeah, we didn't show up in 2020. If we're being real honest, we didn't show up. But despite a whole bunch of those demoralizing defeats, which was why we lost Georgia and all this other stuff. Entering the 2020 election, the Democrats held the House 232 to 197. In 2020, Democrats flipped 3 of our seats. We flipped 15 of theirs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And we were predicted to take a heavy loss.
I want to say, wasn't the prediction like -34 for Republicans?
Something crazy. And it was like,
Or maybe
they're going to
like
control the
18.
House for like 20 years.
Yeah.
They were supposed to expand heavily, but we actually ended up taking a lot. And now the House seats are at 222 to 213,
Right.
which is very, very, very manageable
Now,
in this
but
next
the thing is,
election
that
coming up.
begs the question: did people vote for Joe Biden and then the rest a Republican ticket?
Yeah.
Because those seats could only get flipped if people voted for them to be flipped.
Yeah.
So then, how did Joe Biden get 80 million votes?
Honestly,
Yeah,
He didn't.
Joe Biden got more black vote than Barack Obama. You expect me to believe that?
man, it's just the numbers are crazy and they don't really add up, but we're not here to talk about that a whole lot.
Yeah.
They're going
But-
to cancel us.
But this is a very, very manageable gap. Midterm elections historically go well for the party who's not in the White House.
Which I think is great
Yes.
because that makes it balanced, right? That provides balance so that there are checks and balances, even if sometimes one branch will make a stupid decision,
Right.
the other can say no, or
I think with the midterm elections, we could take a bigger lead and also get rid of all the Republicans who are not worth it.
Yes, all the Republicans are just not on our side, basically. But let's have a few examples of like how the House got flipped. For example, Bill Clinton in the elections of 1992, Democrats lost more than 50 seats.
I didn't realize
That's-
that was.
It's 50. But get this, in 1994, or sorry, in 2008 is the year, Obama won the presidency and Democrats lost 60 seats.
In 2010, the midterm.
Yes.
Wow.
That it's insanely big, that those margins. And they have historically, like, they're leading up to this one to might even be bigger.
huge margins.
Huge margins. It's a very manageable gap for the Republican Party to take. As for the Senate, there are 20 Republicans that are up for grabs and 14 Democrats that are up for grabs. We need to try to keep as many seats as we can, including Marco Rubio, especially like in our state. But there are 2 snakes within these Republicans that are up.
Oh yay!
I'm gonna butcher this name. It's Lisa Murkowski, I think, of Alaska.
I don't think you butchered that. I think that was accurate.
Dude, thank you so much. And then we have Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, who both voted to impeach Trump on Tuesday. On February 9th, along with 4 other Republicans who are not up for re-election this year.
Unfortunately.
But they consist of Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Susan Collins of Maine, Mitt Romney of Utah, and Ben Sass of Nebraska, which that one kind of really piques my interest the most is Bill
Man,
Sass.
Mitt Romney is awful.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm pretty
I mean, I'm kind of thankful Obama won that runoff because at least he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like Mitt Romney would have completely ruined the entire party, as he's kind of doing.
It was a blessing in disguise.
And I love how Democrats will reference to Mitt Romney. Oh, look what Romney's doing, and it's like he's not our guy. It's okay.
Take him. We don't want him. Like I would honestly rather have Tulsi Gabbard in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
She is more Republican than Mitt Romney is, and
Yes.
it's really funny.
And I'm pretty sure I don't have the numbers on it, but I'm pretty sure Utah Democrats favor Mitt Romney more than the Republicans do, which is just insane.
Why doesn't he just switch parties?
We have no idea, but we really need to get these rhinos out, if you will. We really need to just get them out of these seats.
For those who don't know, the term rhino means Republican in name only, like rhino, but without the H.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
But there are these Senate races that I think are going to turn our way and coming in 2022, which are Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, which in Georgia we have Raphael Warnock.
Wait a minute.
I think so. Yeah.
Wait, how can he? That's Senate.
Yeah.
How can he be up for re-election? He just got elected.
I'm sorry. I meant like states.
Oh, okay.
come up.
So okay, got it.
Yeah, and those people that hold it right now, but we need to get people to replace them in the Republican Party.
I got it.
There are states, were just heavily contested in recent elections, and Republicans are very, very upset about this. I feel as the Republican Party, we are very on fire right now. we want change. We want to get into those seats, get into those Senate seats.
The Republican Party of the people. I think the Republican politicians are kind of letting us down right now.
Yeah. We want people who are going to carry on the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
And the people that I just mentioned in those Senate seats are not carrying out that MAGA movement.
Right.
But we need to try to get people in these seats to try to carry out what we believe in as the people.
Yeah. And we need to make sure that the branches of government also are in check, because while it's important for us to win as many branches of government as we see fit, even though, good people won't agree with bad people on bad decisions.
Yeah.
But if packing of the Supreme Court happens, that'll ruin all of this. None of this will matter.
Yeah.
Because there won't be a check and balance for that branch of government.
Precise.
So
Lee.
Yeah,
make the right decision.
Republicans are playing with a chip on their shoulder right now, and I think that we are going to show up very, very heavily. We don't have a lot of people on social media right now, which is a really big downside. Like, we don't have Trump's voice whatsoever. We haven't heard anything from him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad. Like, and you see it on like the news. Like, they have no idea what to do.
Right. Yeah. Jim Acosta from CNN has been checking up on Trump like every day. He's like, I miss him so much.
But
need some news.
But even though we don't have those voices out on social media, a lot of Republicans are turning off social media, which I think is very, very powerful right now, and just basically getting off the grid. And I think it's going to show more of the silent red wave than we've ever seen before.
Twitter, I think it just came out that they lost $1.2 billion last year.
I couldn't think of any better thing to happen.
Right.
Like,
honestly, I heard that. I was like, man,
that's the best news I've heard ever. I'm so happy Twitter's losing money. It really makes me happy, even though I'm usually not one to boast in other people's failures, but that does make me happy.
Yeah, except Jack.
Yes. But now it arises the question, like, who do we want to run in 2024? Who do we want to run in 2024?
Donald.
I think
Donald again, but let's just assume that Donald doesn't run. Let's say that he chooses not to
run. I know he's really aggressive, but I think that'd be fun. Candace Owens has said she's thinking about it.
Oh, yes. We have also probably Ted Cruz will run again. Maybe Marco Rubio. I don't know. Maybe we'll have Rand Paul again. I really don't know if these guys will run again, but I think Ted Cruz probably will take another crack at it.
I almost want Ted Cruz not to win because I just love him in the Senate so much.
Yes.
I just want him to stay.
Yeah, and then we have the two people who I am most excited about, and that is Ron DeSantis and Candace Owens.
Yes.
They are incredible.
The GOATs.
They are incredible. I think they're going to be the two front runners for the Republican Party if they run.
And same thing with Ron DeSantis. Like, I almost don't want him to win so that he'll stay in Florida.
He needs to stay in Florida. I saw this crazy thing yesterday. I cannot confirm if it was true, but I saw it in a few places. Apparently, Ron DeSantis was on the phone with Joe Biden, and he said, I will not call you Mr. President. Also, F you. I was like, wow, that is man.
Dude, Ron gets straight to the point, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna really break down like what we would get out of both of these. With Ron, he has more of a resume. I feel he has brought more results, and he isn't afraid to fight big tech. He isn't afraid of the pandemic, and he is definitely not afraid of the Democrats.
No, he is not.
He is in the minority right now, and he is speaking up and bringing the fire. He's really putting them on the hot seat and just pressing in with that MAGA movement. I think that he would be a great candidate. But we don't want him to leave Florida.
Yeah.
But now for Candace Owens, on the other hand, she's very conservative. She is very intelligent. She's pro-life, but she is also a African American woman, which the left hates.
Yeah.
They hate that she's not. She does. They don't hate that she's African American.
They hate. Hold on.
No, I
hold
understand.
On,
I know. I'm going to clarify.
clarify.
They hate that she's an African American woman who is a conservative Republican.
Right.
Yes.
To the left, the only good African American is one that's a Democrat.
Very true.
When she openly denounces BLM and other terrorist organizations that fight for quote unquote racism
and identity politics in general, she hates identity politics.
It's so funny.
All the time she speaks out about it. But say she gets elected, she wins.
Right.
The Republicans, the Republican Party will be the party that put the first African American woman in the House, or not in the House, sorry, in the White House.
In the White House,
yeah. And that would completely just go against everything that the left's rhetoric says about the conservatives.
Yeah.
It would totally just change the tides of the party. It would give us a whole bunch of new voters, and I feel like that is who I am most excited about running.
Yeah. So I think with a lot of stuff to look forward to, we have a lot of stuff to look forward to, you know. Just because we've had like a little rough patch here, I don't think it means that we can't have a prosperous future. So I think we're just going to wrap it up with that because we did a lot of good.
Yeah, a lot of good news coming for the Republican Party, and just so much to look forward to.
Yeah. With that said, we're going to kind of roll out of this. Remember, we're doing our fundraiser that we've been trying to raise money for equipment and costs of running this podcast. Also, we're working on some cool new stuff that we can't wait to bring to you.
Yep, we're going to stay tuned to find out these new announcements coming very soon.
Yeah, remember, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook if you're into that at Back on Track Podcast. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. We would like you to go to YouTube because YouTube, we're working on stuff there.
Yes.
Not to give too much away.
Did you say our donation goal?
Our donation goal, right now we're trying to raise $6,500 because that would really get everything covered, and we can also bring you, better content.
Better content. We are working on video. We're doing kind of a practice video right now, and we're looking at it super glitchy and delayed, and
So we would like to make that better in the future so we can, bring you video because, video is more entertaining. Speaking of video, we're on Reels. We're on TikTok. We're making skits. Remember, TikTok is the same as Instagram. So at Back on Track Podcast, you can find our skits, and we're constantly making new ones. So, also, YouTube, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get those tasty alerts. Ding, ding.
Ding.
Yeah. And every Tuesday, 10 a.m., we're uploading.
Did you see the special thing we did to our like button? If you hit our like button, it turns blue.
That's right.
It's very true.
Special. We spent hours coding that,
and it finally does it. And it's really exclusive. Actually, if you enjoyed the podcast, it actually does it. It actually has more of a chance.
Yeah. If you don't enjoy it, it gets really dull.
Yeah. But if you made it this far, welcome to the N Club. You are officially a member of the N Club.
And we'd also appreciate it so much if you would subscribe. You can always unsubscribe later. It's completely free. We'd appreciate it so much.
It actually costs $100 to subscribe now.
Yeah.
That was a weird joke.
But we really appreciate you guys all for listening.
Yeah.
It's been a great episode. Thank you guys.
In our humble opinions.
Yeah.
In our humble opinions.
This has been the Back on Track Podcast. We'd like to thank you very much for listening. Signing off.